Hello and welcome to Bryant Fitness Systems. Thank you for clicking on the video. You can watch the whole of this video on YouTube. You might not only be able to see a bit of it on Instagram. So you can go to my YouTube channel, 2,000 videos covering many different subjects. So let's talk about injury and recovery and performance. So what I found is that most people that get injured don't listen to the physio, don't listen to the doctor or the osteopath, especially when it comes to resting and relaxing and getting the injury to heal. So I've had clients say to me, I've got a knee problem, Scott, but I've got to go cycling. Well, you bloody can't go cycling until your pain is down to a 1 or a 2 or a 0. And the reason being is that if you keep working out when you're in pain, you're jacking up your physiological load in the body. On top of your physiological load you're hiring, you've got the sympathetic to parasympathetic sides of the nervous system. One is in charge of fight or flight, and one is in charge of relaxation and balancing the body. You want more of this and less of this if you're injured. Does that make sense? That's why the doctor says to you, if you've got a cold and you're feeling rough, go to bed, relax. Let the parasympathetic sides of the body relax so you heal yourself. Does that make sense? So then on top of that is that a lot of people that get injured have got weak inner units and weak cores. But I could do 1,000 sit-ups. But when they come and see me and I go, well, let's see you do 1,000 sit-ups on the ball correctly, fingers in your ears, lowering your back, coming forward. I assess them, they can do 4 and they're like, oh, my abs are killing me. And I'm like, I thought you could do 1,000. So it's really important is that, unfortunately, many personal trainers don't study the anatomy and physiology in-depthly enough on any of their courses. But with the Czech Institute, you have to get your game up. You have to read a lot of books. I've read 1,000 books, which are behind me and in front of me. And you have to learn anatomy as deep as you can possibly take on board. And the more that you take on board, the easier it is to see problems. Like I had a cycling client that was 83 years old. 83 years old. Come to me, I've got knee pain, and I don't know what it is, and I've been to see a physio, osteopath, everybody else, nobody knows what the fuck's going on. So I just said, right, lay on your side, I'm going to check your IT band. And his IT band was tight on one side. So I released the IT band with a special technique, and guess what? His knee pain completely disappeared. And he thought I was a witch doctor because he knew I was into shaman work and stuff like that. And he went, how'd you know that? And I went, well, I'm just going by what I've learned at the Institute, as well as going with what my inner self tells me. Does that make sense? Because I'm a healer. So I get signals from spirit, and spirit will go, do check that, and I'll try that out. And 90.99999999, I'm not German, % of the time, I get it right. Does that make sense? So his knee recovered so he could cycle again. Then I had another client that had a blockage down here. So I said to him, just lay on the massage bed. I'll just check your breathing. Breathing was totally out. So I knew as soon as I released it and taught him how to breathe correctly, and he'd done the exercises, he was religious, he stuck to it, we corrected the issue. Does that make sense? Without seeing me for weeks and weeks. But normally, when seeing a client, they're looking at 6 months to a year, depending on how long they've been in pain for. So I see the clients that have been foobarred up for many years, and they've been to see everybody, and everybody gives them a different opinion. So they're totally foobarred up in the brain, as in fucked up beyond all recognition, and can't really think, well, what's going to work? What really works? And the reason why I studied with Paul Chek, because he trained, who did he train? Oscar de la Hoya. He helped with his rehabilitation program. He worked with Chuck Norris. He worked with Danny Wade, the skateboarder, world famous. He worked with Lord Hamilton, world famous. He worked with Anthony Robbins, world famous. So he worked with all these big names, And when I saw him doing when I saw on the videos and see him online doing some assessments, I'm like, I want some of that. Because I kept getting, when I was very first into the fitness industry, I was a good trainer and I was always getting clients with this niggle, that problem, this problem. And I just wanted to get the root cause and really help people on a much deeper level. So with the shaman work that I do, I can't use that on everybody because not everybody's open to it. But what I found was the people that are not open to it don't heal, and the people that are open to it do heal. Does that make sense? And really, when you're working with me, you're working with somebody that I love my job so passionately, it's beyond recognition. I spend all my time, reading books on health. I don't read any other books because I don't want to put any other shit in my head. Does that make sense? I want to go to a book and read it and get some real educational knowledge out of it. So I talk to my soul about what book I should read as well, which I was taught that by Paul Chek, how to talk to my soul. And it's always worked. I wish I could talk to my glasses. They're always wonky. But I'm not wonky. It's a joke, So really, really important that if you have an injury, it's going to be related to your core, your posture and your breathing. And could be related, the pain can be related to diet. So I had a client a while ago that had psoriasis. And psoriasis comes from the gut. So I knew that the lower back pain he was getting was linked to the gut. So when you heal the gut and you correct the gut and you correct the weak muscles around the spinal area, then all of a sudden the pain goes. Does that make sense? Unless it's a herniated disc or something that's much, much deeper that needs even deeper work in which to get it to change. Does that make sense? So Alberto Villoldo, the shaman that I'm studying with, had a shoulder that was injured. So because he was a doctor, he didn't believe in the right brain woo-woo stuff, even though he teaches it, and he was honest about that, which I thought was great. I love people that are brutally honest. I don't like bullshitters. I don't like people that blow smoke up my arse. I like people to be genuine and upfront. So his shoulder was killing him. He went to see medical professionals and they went, you need an operation. 10 grand, you need an operation. So he was teaching a class and one of the intuitive young shamans said to him, Alberto, how about we do some work on you and see if you've got any entities or daggers or darts in your body. So the young guy went round the body, found that he had a dagger and pulled the dagger out metaphysically. 2 days later, Alberto's pain was completely gone. He was back to peak health and he was going to pay $10,000 to have that shoulder worked on. And I've had this experience when I've worked with a client. This is a few years ago, had really bad lower back pain. He was overweight, so I was thinking, he must be overweight. Had bad posture, it must be his posture. Or he's got a weak core, it must be the weak core. So we worked on all these areas and it was still lingering a bit. So I said to him, look, I'm a bit way out there because I'm a Czechie. So are you happy for me to do this woo-woo stuff? He said, Scott, whatever we've done so far, you've got me to drop 3 stone, which I couldn't do with anybody else. I can move much better. I'm much faster than what I was before. And he was about 6'6", so he's a really tall guy. And so I said, can we do this? And he went, yeah. And I went, well, first of all, have you got any things that you've been grieving about, like a dead family member? And he went, well, it's not a human family member, it's my dog. Or his missus said it was his dog. And then I could see him well up and get really upset. So I give him a man hug. And I said, let's do the woo-woo technique on you. So I done a illumination technique. And then I found that there was a blockage in his second chakra, which was in the same area where his pain was. So the chakra is linked. So the chakra's here. And the spine, the lumbar spine, is here. And they are linked into that part of the lumbar spine, especially the second. And after I done the woo-woo, 3-4 days later, he's texting me, telling me I'm a wizard witch and that his pain has completely gone, and he was really, really happy. So this is what I love about this system that I learned over 13 years ago, and I'm still always learning, is that pain is not just pain. Does that make sense? Pain is not just an injury. An injury can be a family member that's in spirit world pushing you over to wake you up. I know it's a bit way out there, and I know it's a bit woo-woo. Or it could be that you're doing too much at work, working yourself to death. So the body wants to slow you down. You'll have an accident. Does that make sense? Or some people, like, for argument's sake, from a martial arts point of view, I've heard this said many times. Oh, I'm a black belt, Robin Allen. I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu, Robin Allen. He's going to watch this video. I'm winding him up. Yeah, I'm a black belt, but I've never had a fight on the street. It's fucking pointless. What's the point in doing jiu-jitsu and never having a row? You got to test it out and see if it fucking works. Well, that's the way I look at life anyway, you know, from being a doorman for 16 years, over 24 years ago now. I can't believe it. It's gone so quick. So really, really important. Never, ever think that the injury is coming from one area of the body. Everything summates in the body. It builds up. Does that make sense? So if you've got lower back pain, is it because you've got a kidney issue? Is it because of your vagina is inflamed that's causing you lower back pain? Or is it because you're getting pain at the back of you from here? Is it because you've got a toxic liver? Does that make sense? If you're getting pain here and up here, that's normally either a tight muscle, or the inverted breathing pattern, or your liver's backed up and it's causing pain. And it's in a book, Physiotherapy, Pain Diagnosis, whatever, the book's on the shelf there. So that enables me to realise that when I'm mapping the organs, when somebody fills out the HLC paperwork that takes 10 days, it enables me to map every organ and find whether they're healthy or not. So let's say you're in adrenal fatigue and you're running 10k, 20k, and at the end of the K, you're like, oh, my legs, my back's hurting, my shoulders hurting, this is hurting, that's hurting. Well, you twat, it's your own fault, because when you're going on a marathon run, you're jacking up your sympathetic system, which will volumize the pain in the body. I never forget, I was on the tube once and it was the end of the London Marathon. I wasn't there, I was just went shopping somewhere. And you see all these London Marathon runners all walking like they've just been done up the arse, or, you know, just walking very unnatural. Because it's unnatural to run for 4 hours, come on. And the reason why it's unnatural is because our bodies are designed to survive in the jungle, to kill the tiger, to kill the monkeys, I love monkeys, to kill the bird for dinner. So if you can't do your 1 rep max on your bench press, or you can't do a chin up, or you can't do a deadlift, if you was back in the wild, you'd be dead. You would be fucking dead, because the animals would eat you and you wouldn't be able to get away. Does that make sense? So really important is that as you age, I'm 53, I'm 53, and it's so important to keep your muscle, to keep your strength as you age, to keep injury free. If you do not do this, then expect to get fucking pain right until you die. Does that make sense? But if you strengthen condition in the right way and keep everything aligned and balanced, you'll have a good death. As in, it won't be painful, and hopefully you'll live much, 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 much longer. Some of the bodybuilders, including Arnold's in his 70s going into his 80s, still living normal life. Yeah, he's had 2 heart bypasses, but I'm sure that him doing strength training, or in his case, a form of bodybuilding, has given him more longevity and longer life. And this is what exercise does. And I don't understand why 40% of the country do not exercise. So I believe that 45% of the country are Neanderthal thickos. Because it's online, it's everywhere. You can buy a DVD, you can watch it on Instagram, you can watch it on TikTok, you can watch it on Facebook, you can watch it everywhere. And the science backs everything up if you're a left brain dominant twatty person and not a right brain twatty person like myself, in which to understand how important exercise is for your mind and body. 95% of the UK population are on antidepressants. So what's the percentage of people that are driving their cars, not exercising, in which to keep their happy chemicals in their brain? Does that make sense? Right, that's my rant over. I like having a rant occasionally. Hope you've enjoyed the rant. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel there or there. And please check out my Instagram. It's growing every day. And my TikTok. And if you want to book me, I'm very expensive. So I'll speak to you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.